Welcome to Every Dull Moment. We are glad to be back. We've had a little bit of a pause and we appreciate your patience. We've had some time to have a surgery and recover. We've had my kids visit from another country and trying to spend some time with them. And recently we became accidental foster parents of a new puppy. I don't think he's showing up in the camera, I'm not sure.
Not at the moment.
But you'll hear him shortly, and he'll just walk around. But between finding a dog on the side of the road and bringing him home and making him a part of our family right now, we'll see if that's a permanent situation. Between after all the weight that I've lost, thanks for following along. We had some surgery to remove all the extra skin, and just a break. We've been doing this hard for 4 years, so we appreciate you guys hanging out. We're going to introduce a brand new product. It's kind of in between some other things you're used to, but it's by Nano Hone, and it's called a groomer. So my wife can focus in on this particular product. So I'm just showing you the back of the groomer. So the Nano Groomer itself comes in a lot of sizes. You'll see the 200 micron, the 100 micron, the 50. What we are missing is the 25 and the 10. And then it goes down to the 3 micron and the 1 micron, getting super fine. And what I want to do is I want to turn them over so you can see the actual texture. And you should probably be able to see, if we can get it on camera, that it's a much rougher texture.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of the glisten too.
And this Diamond Resin
yeah, you can see the difference
stone
as you go down. Yeah.
can be used in a variety of ways. Now we're going to be showing you how it's meant to be used, and we're going to talk about some possibilities, what to do, what not to do, and then in other episodes we're going to explore maybe some ideas that hasn't been used. So I do want to talk about what it's initially for. So in our world of sharpening knives, if you are using whetstones, you are used to having a synthetic, usually ceramic stone. I actually had gotten out a Nano Hone stone. This particular one has an older 1000 grit. It has a history of like actually kind of loading up. They remade this stone recently, but for some reason the 1000 really had a lot of load up. So I'm anxious to test it. These are fresh out of the box. They have not been used by me at all, so you're going to get my reaction. The groomer is for removing buildup. Okay, so I need you to be thinking that we're grooming the stone. It is not to be compared to a lapping plate because its size does not allow you to cover the entire width of the stone, meaning that you might get off-centered and you might actually start digging a ditch on one side, getting it not level. So let's please not think of it as a flattener. Okay, when you look at the other Nano Hone products, so we have the NL8, which is discontinued. They still make the NL10. This is super fine with buttons of diamonds. And then you've got this one, which is the NL6. Okay, these have weights to them. And if you ever felt this thing is, I mean, super heavy. And it will sit on there, cover a lot of distance, and it will allow you to re-level the stone that you're using. You can, of course, pull all this material off of there. It could be considered a little aggressive to get the load off, that you would start wasting stone. So if your goal is just to get some of the load out, the groomer could be used for that. The groomer could also be used easily with some of these plates having these unique grooves, especially in the buttons. If we were trying to do our corners and the sides, it would be much easier to kind of round out the corners so we don't get a scratch in the blade than it would be, especially than if I was using the one with the buttons, I would get caught.
Yeah.
So we can think of it that way. Now, I have an older 100 micron diamond resin plate. The newer ones do not have this matrix, this honeycomb matrix. So, but anytime you have the diamond resin plate, you can think of the Nano Groomer as something that you can use to groom this plate. So if there is buildup in there, it can release it. Of the lapping plates, you would not be able to use the NL6. You could, the only lapping plate that they have available for doing this would be the NL8 or the NL10. But it's still so aggressive to think about that resin, that resin bond with the diamonds in there, that weight could push out. Just something so light could easily kind of get the dust. And you can see that we use our stones. So this still has the dust. I'm going to be using it in just a second. But I also wanted to show you another reason. I got out a Japanese natural stone, and let's say that it does not need grooming in the sense that there's not buildup. Then we're used to the Nagura. So if you think about the Nagura, a lot of times we would be using this in a way to get a slurry. And you can see a slurry is building. And you can see that this particular Nagura came from the same place. But if I wanted to, so this is my first time using one, I could grab one of these. And you can see quickly I could get a slurry. So when you're polishing and you're trying to get a slurry or sharpening, you have the option. So I did want to show you that that's going to be really nice for that. And you might be asking yourself, which ones can I use these on? The rule, and if you go to the website for the Nano Groomer, the rule is going to be one in which the diamonds you're using are 2 times, or let's say greater, than the diamonds you're trying to clean, or the size of the abrasive that you're trying to clean. So if you're cleaning like a 10 micron abrasive, you would use the 50 micron. Could you use the 25 micron groomer that I don't have? You could. It's not recommended that you use the 10 micron for a 10 micron whetstone. They're wanting you to be 2 times. So for him, his 2 time goes from 10, it goes to 25, and then it goes to 50. And that's what Hap Stanley, when he designed this, was thinking of. So then you might be thinking, okay, well, what if you've got the 30,000, this is a 0.5 micron. This thing's going to be ultra fine. So first off, this has got load on it. So what's going to be double? Well, they only make a 1, so 1 is double. We could try to just build up, get the load out with that. The other would be going up to your 3. I think some of you are probably wondering, if I use the 3 micron, am I changing the surface of the 30K stone to something that's rough? I don't think so personally. I think you always have that little bit of right on the top, and then as soon as you start rubbing, you're getting rid of it. But we're going to test this theory out right now. So the first thing I wanted to do is add a little bit of water to this, just to show you on this 100 micron. So the only thing that, if I go by his rule, the only thing I could do is the 200 micron would be what I use on here to clean the plate. And that way I know that I've restored all the abrasive edges, so that way it is ready to be aggressive on whatever surface, like whatever knife I'm doing, or if I'm actually using it to thin a knife, or if I'm actually using it to remove whetstone material and lap the, because you could use this as a lapping plate, you can use it as a whetstone, you can, to thin a knife, you can use it a lot of ways. So, excuse me. So for the 100 micron, I'm using the 200 micron groomer. If we move over to this, excuse me, we got the 1000 grit, yep. You can see this thing, it just has that dark load. So it's a 15 micron. So 30 would be double. I would have to jump up to the 50 to be stronger.
Now, do you just rinse those off to keep them?
Yeah, if you're absolutely. My wife is asking, how do you clean the groomer itself? And that is absolutely how you would do it. You can go to your sink, and you would be able to rinse out the buildup that is inside of that. I will tell you personally that I have been a little frustrated with this older 1000 grit. We'll call it the 15 micron because, and I talked to Hap on the phone personally, and he said just the material that we're using, the binder and everything like that, he goes, it technically is not load. It was cutting, but it was in my head, I would see the darkness and think that it wasn't cutting. So I will tell you, it does make me feel better visually. It's okay, but it does make me feel better visually that I can see that the load has been removed from this stone. But remember, I did not flatten this stone. So if this stone needed flattening, I would have had to jump up to something else to get out the old pencil. So do not replace one for the other.
Okay.
And then again, we've already showed you that if you were doing the Japanese natural stone, whether you had a buildup, which is very unlikely on a Japanese natural stone, or if you needed a slurry. Now, if you happen to have one of those very rare, thinner stones, I actually have one in the other room, I didn't get it out, and it was as narrow as the groomer, you could probably use it as a lapping plate. It would be a very rare exception. Okay, so this is the 30K stone, 5 micron. So you say to yourself, let's just take a look. We're going to grab the 1 micron, which is literally the finest one that they make. It's double, right? So it's technically coarser. Are we able to groom the 30 micron? I tell you what, it's like a piece of glass rubbing a piece of glass.
I was like, it's not really, I
mean, there's places you can tell in the edges. You could tell in the edges that it was doing it.
Well, there was a lot less there. But.
Yeah. I got all fancy on the
You got the
Joe,
Hap sprayer. Mm-hmm.
I got the Hap sprayer. Okay, so let's jump over here to the 3 micron. It's getting broken in. The thing of it is this stone is flat. So how much stone would we be wasting if we got out a lapping plate to reflatten it? I mean, the 30K stone probably lasts you your entire life, and your kid and the grandkid.
I mean, that's definitely working better, I feel like. But
yeah, so it looks like the 3 micron is going to be the thing to clean up your 30K. And again, if I needed to do the corners, let's just show you. If you guys wanted to take the rough edge off, so nice. I know all of us have done this before. And it is really nice to be able to kind of handle that. And for fun.
oh, Lord.
So back out for a second. Let me talk to these people. In other episodes, we're going to try 2 things. On a different episode, we're going to try to sharpen a knife with the groomer.
What?
Just to see. I'm not doing it today.
That's going to take a while.
No, not, I mean, 200.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, maybe not.
And in a different episode, we're going to see about polishing a knife, just to see what we can do. So what I want to do is I'm sacrificing a knife. I'll repolish it later. And I wanted to show you guys the grit pattern. So I'm going to actually scar this knife with the 200 grit. So my wife's going to video this knife that has been sharpened and polished. This is a white number 1.
I need my readers.
Can we see the surface of the knife?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, it looks. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to use this parallel and put scratches. Just
seems cringy.
So Do we see scratches? I don't want to mess up my 30K stone.
I wouldn't lay it up there to save my life, honestly. Move it over to that one. Okay.
But I'm just showing them the scratch marks.
Yep.
So if you guys could think, if we were polishing and we got everything level, you can, this right here is really nice because you can see the low and the high points. And then if you went through a series, obviously the 200 to the 100, you could keep making the marks smaller. The only thing that you would run into is that I don't have the 25 and the 10. So as you're polishing and you're getting down and you're getting the grits, excuse me, these scratches parallel and constantly getting the scratches out from the last stone, you would probably still have to intervene with another stone. I don't want to get the camera wet.
Well, I'm also just concerned about your stone,
but
I mean, I see it better with the naked eye than I feel like I'm seeing it with the camera. I mean, I am seeing it, but
yeah,
I hope they can see those lines right there.
But it's definitely nice to see that some other things I think are possible. And so you can pan back and then so one of the things that I'm thinking about, this could be possible and it would be interesting to see, especially for those you guys sharpen single bevel knives. When you think about that deba that is very thick at the back and as it curves and the shape, the concave kind of comes around, excuse me, convex, kind of comes around. The difference at the back to the front, it's hard to think about polishing, and you might be able to by hand be able to manipulate. I'm not saying that you can. I'm saying it's something that we can explore in the future. So I'm just getting your mind thinking. But I'm glad to be able to share this new item. Nano Hone's the only one doing something like this. You know, we're used to the Nagora. We're used to the synthetic. I know I have one out here. We have the synthetic one. This always comes standard with your Suhiro. So that way we've seen something like that. We've just never seen that made out of diamonds. So we, you know, HAP is always thinking we appreciate HAP for being creative. And it's also nice to know that we have them in different types of texture and grit for the various stones we have out there, and that it works on diamond. For those of you who have, you know, the different diamond stones that are out there, he recommends this for that. So again, they are not expensive. I think they're about $30 a piece. So you can check them out at nanohone.com, and we appreciate HAP. We were not gifted these, or something that we purchased for the show, and I'm glad that we have them. And I'm just glad to pick up something new. You know, it's become kind of stagnant, so I was glad to get something new and show you guys something a little different. I appreciate you guys checking in. Again, we're still enjoying some family in town, and we're still enjoying the new puppy dog. So we're sorry we've been intermittent, and then we might be for a minute. You know, but we appreciate you guys still supporting us. So thank you, and we'll see you as always Friday nights at 8. God bless.